In this video, we're going to look at organic compounds and how we name them. So an organic compound is simply a compound that contains carbon and hydrogen. That's all it means to be organic. So if it's only hydrogen and carbon, then it's called a hydrocarbon. And carbon's a special molecule in that it can bind to 4 other atoms, as shown here in methane. It's bound to 4 different hydrogens via covalent bonds. And if you don't remember what a covalent bond is, please review those videos. Now for carbon chemistry, carbons will almost never form ionic bonds. They are usually always in covalent bonds. And it can form single, double, or triple bonds. And by the type of bonds it has, and if it's a hydrocarbon, we name these compounds a special way. So if it's a hydrocarbon and only has single bonds, we call it an alkane. If it contains even 1 double bond, we call it an alkene. And if it contains at least 1 triple bond, we call it an alkyne. Now, if it contains both a triple and a double bond, usually the triple will always take precedent when we name it. So let's look at how we name carbon compounds. The first thing you do is you count the number of carbons in your compound and you give it a list like this. So meth, eth, prop, bute, pent, hex, hept, oct, non, dec. So you just count up the number of carbons and you stick that in front of your name. Then you see if it has any single, double, or triple bonds. If it's only single bonds, it's ane, as in propane. So 3 carbons, so it's prop, and ane because it's only single bonds. Now let's look at this compound. 2 carbons, so it's eth, double bond, ethene. This compound, 2 carbons, eth, triple bond, ethine. Now for hydrocarbons in carbon chemistry, you can actually use this notation to represent molecules. So if you ever see any compounds that look like a stick like this, each point of the stick means there's a carbon there, and every time you see a line, that is a carbon-carbon bond. If there's no lines, then that means it's bound to hydrogens, because remember, carbons must have at least 4 bonds. So here's a CH3, because we have 1 carbon bound to another carbon, that's 1 bond, so the other 3 bonds are hydrogen. This is CH2, because 1 bond, so the other 2 bonds are hydrogen. Here, there's only 1 hydrogen, because you have 1 bond to this carbon-carbon, 1 bond to carbon-carbon, another bond to carbon-carbon. That's a total of 1, 2, 3. So the 4th bond must be a hydrogen. So let's count the number of carbons in this compound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So going to 7 is hept. There's a double bond, so it's ene. So this compound is heptene. Now, these carbon compounds can also have what are called functional groups. And they're just special groups of compounds that we give common names to. And these organic compounds with the same functional groups, they form a family. And here's a bunch of functional groups. However, for this class, we're just going to start simple, and we're just going to start with alcohols. And for these functional groups, if you have a functional group attached, you just change the name of the end. So instead of ethane here, we have an alcohol group, so it's ethanol. Same for the other groups, but we're just going to focus on alcohols for right now. So let's test your understanding of naming. I have 1, 2, 3 compounds here. Please name those, and please draw out pentene. Pause the video, do that, come back when you have the answers. Alright, let's go look at this. So here we have 1 carbon, 2 carbons. So there's actually a carbon here even though there's not a bump. And that's what this triple bond is showing. There's a carbon right there. So we have 1 carbon, 2 carbon, 3 carbon, 4 carbon, 5 carbon, 6 carbon. So this is hexane. Here, 1 carbon, methane. Here, 2 carbons, single bonds. So ethane, alcohol group, all, ethanol. That's the stuff that you drink. And here, 1 carbon, 2 carbon, 3 carbon, 4 carbon, 5 carbon, and you just need to draw a double bond somewhere. For right now, it doesn't matter where you draw the double bond, and that's pentene. And that's it for this video, and that's it for chapter 3. So, see you in the next video.